Do you think you know everything about your cat's hobbies and morals? You are definitely not following at least one of these 10 points. Watch to the end. The last point will shock you. This story is based on real research and has shocked millions of American people. It will change your ideas about how cats are treated. Chapter 1. The Whispering Shadows. Elias Thornbrook had always been a man of routine, precise, calculated, and utterly dismissive of unsolicited advice. His black cat, Nix, was as enigmatic as the moonlit alleys she occasionally prowled. But Elias made his first grave mistake the day he ignored the cardinal rule of cat ownership: never skip annual veterinary checkups. A shocking statistic from the Feline Health Institute haunted the walls of every vet clinic. Over 60% of cats develop hidden kidney disease by age 7, often undetected without blood work. Elias scoffed. Nix seemed fine, her coat glossy, her appetite voracious. Why subject her to the stress of a vet visit? But Nix wasn't fine. One evening, as rain lashed against the windows of Thornbrook's antiquated townhouse, Nix began refusing food, then water. Then she vanished into the labyrinth of his home's hidden passages, walls lined with forgotten books and whispered secrets. Desperate, Elias sought help from his eccentric neighbor, Dr. Leora Vex, a retired veterinarian with a penchant for the supernatural. "You ignored the signs," Leora murmured, her fingers tracing the dust on an ancient feline medical tome. Cats are masters of disguise, hiding pain until it's too late. Together, they followed Nix's faint paw prints into the house's shadowed underbelly, where they discovered more than just a sick cat. There were other sick cats next to her, and she came to support them. Moral of the chapter: neglecting routine care under the assumption no symptoms means no problem can blind you to silent dangers both in your pets and in the shadows they might unveil. Chapter 2. The Brush of Deception. As Nix's condition worsened, Elias frantically researched remedies, stumbling upon a pervasive myth. Cats self-groom. Baths are unnecessary. Recent studies from the Journal of Feline Medicine revealed the grim truth. Over 40% of long-haired cats develop severe matting or dermatitis without human intervention, leading to infections or even mobility issues. Elias had never brushed Nix, believing her fastidious tongue was enough. But Nix's fur, now tangled and dull, hid more than neglect. Leora arrived with a silver comb, its teeth engraved with runes. "Grooming isn't just about cleanliness," she said, working through Nix's knots. "It's about connection. And sometimes, revelation." With each stroke, Nix's fur released not just dirt, but whispers, fragments of a language Elias almost recognized. Then, the comb caught on something unnatural. A tiny, embedded locket, its surface etched with "It was Nix's date of birth." Elias gasped, "That's where he was!" Before they could open it, a sharp knock echoed through the house. A stranger stood at the door, a man with mismatched eyes and a smile too wide. "I've been waiting for Nix to call me," he said, his voice like dry leaves. "She's my cat, you see. Or rather, she was." Nix hissed, her back arching. But Elias noticed something terrifying: all the stranger's clothes were made of cat hair. Moral of the chapter: assuming nature will handle everything breeds ignorance. Some knots must be unraveled by hand before they tighten into snares. Chapter 3. The Poisoned Feast. Elias slammed the door shut, but the stranger's laughter seeped through the cracks like smoke. Nix's fur stood on end, her pupils dilated not just from fear, but from something deeper, something wrong. Leora grabbed Elias's arm, her grip iron. "We need to get her out of here, now!" But Nix suddenly convulsed, her body twisting unnaturally before collapsing onto the Persian rug. Elias's heart lurched. "What's happening to her?" Leora's eyes darted to the half-eaten plate of smoked salmon Elias had left on the coffee table earlier. "Tell me you didn't." "I just gave her a bite. She loves fish." "Smoked fish is packed with salts and preservatives. It can cause sodium ion poisoning in cats," Leora snapped, already rummaging through her bag for an emergency remedy. "Do you have any idea how many cats end up in emergency clinics because their owners think human food is fine in small amounts? Over 15, 0 cases a year in the US. Alone, and that's just the reported ones." Elias felt sick. He'd done this. As Leora worked, forcing Nyx to drink an electrolyte solution, the cat's body spasmed again, but this time, her claws extended, digging into the rug with unnatural force. The stranger's voice slithered under the door again. "She's waking up, and she's hungry for more than just your food, Elias." Moral of the chapter: even love can be poisonous when given blindly. What nourishes us may destroy them and awaken things best left sleeping. Chapter 4. The Claws That Remember. Nyx's recovery was slow, but something had changed. She no longer purred. She watched, and her claws, once retractable, now remained unsheathed, black as obsidian and sharp as broken glass. Leora studied them with a mix of fascination and dread. "These aren't just claws anymore," she murmured. "They're keys." Elias, desperate for answers, dug into Nyx's past. His search led him to a faded newspaper clipping. "Local man's cat seized by animal control after neighbor reports disturbing behavior." The photo showed a younger version of the stranger from the door. Dr. Alistair Vrain, a disgraced veterinarian who'd experimented on cats, declawing them in a twisted attempt to purify their instincts. But the article's most chilling line came from a behavioral study. Declawed cats are 300% more likely to develop chronic pain, arthritis, and psychological aggression. Many mutilate themselves trying to regrow what was taken. Nyx, Elias realized, hadn't just been Vrain's victim, she'd been his success, because she had regrown her claws, and whatever he'd done to her had made them into something else. That night, Elias woke to the sound of scratching, not at the door inside the walls. Nyx was gone again, but this time, the house itself seemed to breathe around him. Then, from the hallway, a sound. Snip, snip, snip. Vrain stood there, smiling, a pair of silver shears in his hands. "Time to finish what I started," he whispered. Nyx's eyes glowed in the dark with pain. Moral of the chapter: some wounds never heal. What we take from them, they will reclaim in ways we cannot predict. Chapter 5. The Hollow Plaything. The metallic snip-snip of Vrain's shears sent Elias scrambling backward, his pulse hammering in his throat. But before the deranged vet could take another step, Nyx launched herself from the shadows, her obsidian claws catching the moonlight like shards of a shattered mirror. Vrain laughed, sidestepping with unnatural grace. "Still fighting, little one? Even after I fixed you?" Elias grabbed the nearest object, a heavy candlestick, and swung. The blow should have hit the target, but Vrain dodged. "You don't understand, Elias," he said. "She was boring until I took her claws away. Just another lazy house cat who sleeps all day staring at the wall. It's a pity." Leora burst into the room, her arms laden with strange artifacts. "He's right about one thing," she panted. "A cat's mind withers without stimulation. Studies show felines deprived of play develop anxiety so severe they overgroom until they bleed or starve themselves out of despair." She hurled a vial of pepper powder at Vrain. Vrain said, "But you didn't help her, you broke her." The powder ignited in the air, revealing the truth. Some of Vrain's clothes were made from the rarest fabric of cats, which cost a lot of money. Leora understood this by the chemical reaction in the form of arson. Moral of the chapter: a neglected mind becomes a weapon. Boredom is the slowest form of cruelty and the most dangerous. Chapter 6. The Door That Should Never Open. Vrain and Nyx were gone. Elias lunged after her, but Leora yanked him back. "If she's gone where I think she has." Elias shook her off. "She's never been outside. I've always kept her indoors. No cars, no diseases, no—" "Exactly," Leora interrupted. "And now she's out there somewhere with no survival instincts, no fear, and claws that can unlock doors that shouldn't be opened." She thrust a research paper into his hands. A highlighted statistic glared up at him. Unsupervised outdoor cats live 5 years on average. Indoor cats who escape face 80% higher mortality within the first month due to predation, toxins, or sheer disorientation. Elias's blood ran cold. Nyx wasn't just any cat. If she'd gotten out. They followed the trail of charred paw prints to the backyard, where the old oak tree stood, the one Elias had never let Nyx climb. And there, perched on the lowest limb, sat Nyx, licking her claws clean of something black and glistening. Nyx stared at her owner with eyes that held no recognition. Only hunger. Moral of the chapter. The greatest danger isn't what's outside, it's what we've never prepared them to face. Protection without wisdom is just another cage. Chapter 7. The Forgotten Needle. Nyx remained perched on the gnarled oak branch. Leora gripped Elias's arm, her fingers trembling. "She's been changed," she whispered. "But not just by Vrain's experiments, by something other." Elias's mind raced. He had failed Nyx in so many ways, ignored her checkups, dismissed her subtle distress signals. A report from the Journal of Feline Medicine flashed in his memory. Over 70% of cats who die from preventable diseases like feline leukemia or rabies had never received vaccinations or routine vet care. And now, Nyx was patient zero for something far worse. Leora pulled a syringe from her coat, filled with an iridescent liquid. "This is a stabilizer, a last resort. It might buy us time to undo what's been done." Elias hesitated. "But if she's already—" "Listen," Leora snapped. "Cats are masters of hiding illness until it's too late. You ignored the signs, and now we're dealing with more than just a sick cat. We're dealing with a conduit." Before they could move, Leora lunged, plunging the needle into Nyx's flank. The Nyx's world turned over. Moral of the chapter. Prevention is the only cure when the sickness is already at your door. A missed vaccine can cost 9 lives and more. Chapter 8. The Silent Scream. The injection didn't calm Nyx. Her body convulsed, limbs elongating and retracting like a broken film reel. Leora staggered back, her face ashen. It wasn't supposed to do this. Then, as suddenly as it began, the chaos stilled. Nyx collapsed, just a cat, panting, her pupils dilated with primal terror. Elias reached for her, but Leora yanked him back. "Don't. She's not stable." Recent research from the Institute of Feline Behavior Studies echoed in Elias's mind. Chronically stressed cats experience cortisol levels high enough to trigger organ failure. Many develop compulsive disorders, chewing their own flesh, hallucinating prey that isn't there. Nyx wasn't just infected, she was going crazy. A low growl rumbled from her throat as she stared past them, fixated on something in the middle distance. Moral of the chapter. Stress is a silent killer, but the monster it invites is louder. A cat's fear is never just in their head. Chapter 9. The Poisoned Threshold. The doorway yawned open, exhaling a breath of stale air that carried whispers of forgotten things. Nyx crouched low, her tail lashing, no longer fearful, but calculating. But as they backed away, Elias's foot knocked over a bottle of floor cleaner he'd left out earlier. The cap had been loose, and a noxious blue liquid oozed across the floorboards, its chemical stench cutting through the unnatural miasma. Nyx hissed, scrambling backward as the liquid neared her paws. Leora's breath hitched. "Phenol-based cleaners, idiot! Do you have any idea how toxic that is to cats?" She yanked a research abstract from her coat. Even diluted household disinfectants can cause fatal kidney damage in felines through skin contact alone. Over 0 cases are reported annually. Elias's stomach twisted. He'd never thought twice about the sprays and wipes he used. Moral of the chapter. What harms can also protect, but ignorance is never a shield. The dangers we overlook are often the ones that come back to haunt us. Chapter 10. The Knot Untied. Vrain was caught by the police, and he, a previously cheerful guy, was broken after hearing a life sentence. Nyx sat at home, her fur singed, but her eyes clear, truly clear for the first time since this nightmare began. Elias sank to his knees, trembling. "It's over." Leora exhaled sharply. "No, it's fixed." She nodded at Nyx. "She's stable now, but there's one last thing we have to do." Elias tensed. "What?" "She needs to be spayed." He balked. "Now? After everything?" Leora's gaze was iron. "Especially now. Whatever Vrain did to her, whatever lingered in her blood, it's tied to her reproductive system. I've seen it before." She pulled up a study on her phone. Unspayed female cats are 80% more likely to develop pyometra, a lethal uterine infection. Just one unaltered cat can produce 370 descendants in 7 years, most of them doomed to short, suffering lives. Elias looked at Nyx. She stared back, calm. Epilogue. The ninth life. 1 month later, Nyx, now sleek, healthy, and free of the thing that had clung to her, curled in a sunbeam, purring. Elias had learned his lessons. The vet visits, the safe cleaners, the toys that kept her mind sharp. But most of all, he'd learned that love meant protecting her, even from the dangers he couldn't see. As Nyx stretched, her claws caught the light ordinary again, but no less sharp. And somewhere, very far away, a Vrain's door stayed shut. Moral of the chapter. To love a cat is to break the cycle of suffering before it begins. The greatest kindness is the one that goes unseen. Final moral. Care is not just action, it is foresight. The world is full of invisible threats, but the true danger is in doing nothing. What do you think about this story? Write in the comments. Subscribe and wait for the next video in which I will tell you about the behavior of animals that you don't know for sure about. If you don't subscribe, you will make a huge mistake.